French Rafale jets intercept Russian bombers' vertical bar NATO Airspace standoff documentary. High above the icy skies of Europe, a silent drama unfolds. A pair of Russian long-range bombers approach the boundaries of NATO airspace, their intentions unclear. Suddenly, radar operators detect their presence. Within minutes, sleek French Rafale jets roar into the sky. What happens next is a gripping showdown that combines speed, strategy, and a delicate balance between war and peace. This is the story of a near collision between two global powers, played out in the skies. The backdrop to this confrontation lies in decades of uneasy rivalry. Since the Cold War, Russian strategic bombers such as the Tupolev Tu-95 Bear and Tu-160 Blackjack have regularly tested NATO's defenses, probing the readiness of Western air forces. These flights often occur in international airspace, technically legal, but dangerously close to NATO boundaries. France, as a leading NATO member, maintains a 24/7 air defense alert system. At air bases like Mont-de-Marsan or Saint-Dizier, Rafale fighters sit armed and fueled, ready to launch within minutes. These alert aircraft are the frontline guardians of Europe's skies. In this incident, the drama began with an alert from NATO's Combined Air Operations Center. Radar picked up two unidentified aircraft moving westward over the Baltic Sea, heading toward NATO airspace. The radar tracks were unmistakable, Russian bombers. The French Rafale, a twin-engine multi-role fighter designed by Dassault Aviation, is no ordinary jet. It combines cutting-edge avionics, supersonic speed, and long-range sensors. Unlike older jets, the Rafale can detect, track, and engage multiple targets at once, making it the perfect tool for high-stakes interceptions. As the Russian bombers advanced, French pilots were scrambled. Sirens wailed. Within minutes, the Rafales were airborne, climbing rapidly into the cold upper atmosphere. Once we were in the air, we switched to NATO control frequencies. The controllers fed us the bogey's coordinates, altitude 32,000 feet, heading west. We pushed throttle into afterburner. The adrenaline is real. You know you're about to face Russian strategic bombers, and every second matters. As the Rafales closed in, the massive outlines of the Russian bombers came into view. The Tupolev Tu-95, with its distinctive propellers, is one of Russia's most iconic long-range nuclear-capable bombers. Its purpose in these flights is often ambiguous, testing NATO response, asserting presence, and sending a political message. The Rafales approached cautiously, taking position off the bomber's wingtips. Standard interception protocol is clear. The NATO jets identify the intruders visually, shadow them closely, and signal warnings if necessary. But this was no simple flyby. The Russian bombers maintained their course, cruising closer to NATO's airspace boundaries. For the French pilots, the mission was both technical and psychological. They had to remain calm, professional, and firm, projecting strength without escalating the encounter. Interceptions like these are tense moments of military theater. The bombers do not respond to radio calls, but they see the Rafales flying just meters away. Every maneuver, every adjustment in formation is a signal. Back at NATO command, officers watch the situation unfold in real time on giant screens. If the Russian bombers crossed into NATO territory, the standoff could escalate from a mere intercept to a potential crisis. The world might never know just how close these moments bring us to catastrophe. This interception was not unique. Dozens of similar incidents occur every year along NATO's borders, from the Arctic Circle to the Black Sea. Each time, it's a silent test of resolve. NATO nations must scramble fighters, burning millions of dollars in flight hours to respond to Russian patrols that cost just as much to launch. For the French Air Force, every Rafale intercept reaffirms their readiness and capability. For Russia, every bomber flight sends a message of reach and endurance. And yet, despite the tension, there's an unspoken code. These encounters rarely escalate beyond a tense stare-down. Both sides know the stakes. Any miscalculation could spiral into a larger conflict. As dawn broke over Europe, NATO's air surveillance systems picked up unusual long-range radar signatures. The bombers, still in international airspace but closing in on the buffer zones, were unmistakably Russian. These weren't training flights deep inside Russian territory. They were testing NATO's response times. The French command center near Lyon received confirmation. 2 Rafale jets were to scramble immediately. The mission was clear: intercept, identify, and shadow the Russian aircraft before they breached NATO's defensive line. This wasn't just a routine intercept. The geopolitical tension in Europe had been rising. Every move by Russian strategic bombers carried a silent message: we can reach you. For France, a nuclear power and one of NATO's strongest members, backing down was not an option. Inside the dimly lit hangar, the pilots moved with clockwork precision. Helmet visors dropped, oxygen masks sealed, and within minutes the Rafales roared to life. Their afterburners sliced through the night sky, climbing rapidly towards the approaching threat. The sound of jet engines echoed like thunder across the base, a reminder that every second counted. Air traffic control relayed constant updates: altitude, speed, and heading of the Russian bombers. The distance between them was shrinking fast. At 30,000 feet, the French Rafales locked their radar onto the intruders. What appeared on their screens confirmed intelligence reports: Russian Tu-95 Bear bombers escorted by Sukhoi fighter jets. The sight was intimidating. The Tu-95S, with their massive wings and iconic propeller engines, carried the ability to deliver nuclear payloads across continents. The Sukhoi escorts, sleek and aggressive, made the encounter even riskier. Over the encrypted NATO channel, the lead French pilot reported calmly, "This was more than a flight encounter, it was a psychological duel." The Russian bombers continued steadily on their path, edging closer to NATO airspace, while their escorts made subtle maneuvers, signaling both strength and defiance. The Rafales matched every move, holding formation at a calculated distance. The message was unmistakable: you are being watched. You will not pass unnoticed. Through international protocols, the French pilots attempted radio contact. Static filled the air. The Russians remained silent, a tactic used to escalate tension without breaking any laws. For nearly 30 minutes, both sides flew in tense proximity. A single mistake, an accidental lock-on, a near collision, or a misread maneuver could have triggered an international crisis. Back in NATO command, officers monitored every detail. The drama unfolding thousands of feet above the Earth wasn't just about planes, it was about signaling power, deterrence, and resolve. Finally, as if on cue, the Russian bombers adjusted their course. They veered slightly away from NATO airspace, still flying parallel but no longer advancing. It was a classic show of force: push just enough, then pull back before crossing the line. When the Russian bombers finally pulled back, relief swept across NATO command. But the message was clear: this was a test, and Europe had just been reminded of its vulnerability. Military analysts quickly weighed in. For France, the mission was a success. The Rafales had shown speed, discipline, and resolve. For NATO, it was another warning that the skies above Europe were never truly calm. The suspense of that morning flight became a story of deterrence. No shots were fired, but the drama in the air carried the weight of global politics. In the end, the intercept was more than a military maneuver. It was a reminder that peace depends on readiness. If you enjoyed this dramatic retelling of real-world events, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more gripping documentaries on military operations and global conflicts. Don't miss the next one!